Hey, alright, welcome to another video. If you haven't been here before, I'm Cecilia Joe and this is my channel where I talk all things books. So today I'm going to go through the books that I read through August, so my August wrap up if you will. So yeah, I think I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I read about maybe 8 books, 6 physical ones and then a couple on my Kindle, I think it was. So yeah, let's just get into it. We'll go with my Kindle ones first. Okay, so on my Kindle I did read Surge, which was on my TBR for this month, which is like a dragon why choose fantasy romance book. It's a series that I'm reading at the moment. So this was the 3rd one in the series and I just assumed that it was going to be the last one. I just assumed it was a trilogy, but it's not. So I think I thought it was going to all wrap up in this book, you know, but it didn't. So I think I was just a little bit disappointed with that, to be honest. I did give it 3.5 stars because of that. Like, the writing I enjoyed. I just think it was just not really much happening, you know. It's just a bit of a filler book. I feel like it could have just gone on to the 4th one, you know. Yeah, it only really picked up towards the end and that was purely just to leave it on a cliffhanger to go to the next book, you know. So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with it. I've really enjoyed the series so far in general. I think it's called The Storm Dragon's Mate. I think that's what the series is called. But yeah, I gave this one 3.5 stars. I was a little bit disappointed, just the fact that it wasn't like a conclusion of the story. It was purely just there to lead on to the 4th one. So yeah, hopefully the 4th one, if it's the last one, hopefully that will be better because it just wraps the whole thing up. But yeah, anyway, my first book was Surge and I gave that 3.5 stars. That was actually the only one that I read. Oh no, it wasn't. I also read one called Daughter of Shadow on my Kindle, which is a series, just book 1 in the series, and I really enjoyed this book. So it was basically about this, the female lead is Daughter of Shadow, but she didn't know that. She didn't know she had these like powers, and these powers are like deemed dangerous by everyone, and she is like an enemy of everyone type thing. Really like doesn't want anyone to find out that she is a daughter of Shadow. And it's like there's a lot of politics going on in this book, I found, which sometimes I find a bit boring, like I'm not really that interested. But it's definitely a sort of why choose reverse harem fantasy romance, again the same as the dragon one, but they're not dragons in this one. But yeah, a lot of the first book, as they are in series, are sort of building the world, aren't they, and getting to know characters and stuff. So a lot of it is just description and stuff like that. But I've started the 2nd book, so I'm like really excited. I'm pretty sure it's a completed series too, which is just amazing, so I don't have to wait for another one to come out like I do with Surge. So yeah, I'm enjoying the series so far. I don't have many opinions on it at the moment because I don't really know where the story's gonna go, if that makes sense. I did give it 4 stars because I did enjoy it and I do want to carry on reading it. So I think it was a good start to a series, but I'll have more views, more opinions probably when I finish the series, but definitely when maybe I'm another book in, you know. But I think it's worth starting if you're looking for like a fantasy romance why choose vibe. Okay, next up we'll go with the audio books that I listened to. So first off, we've got In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros, is it? It's the author from Fourth Wing. This is her new book, In the Likely Event. I wasn't a massive fan of it, I'll be honest. I did give it 3.5 stars, but I think maybe if I read it I would have enjoyed it more. I think the audio maybe ruined it a bit for me, but I just found myself like zoning out from it. But then when I zoned back in, I could fully understand what was happening. So I think maybe it's one of those books that's like 300, 400 pages that could have been like 200, you know. A lot of it was like filler things and like going back and forth. So yeah, it's a romance where basically this man and woman meet on a plane, they get into a plane crash, and then they meet at different stages throughout the life, but they're like, you know, destined to be together. They really love each other, but he is in the military, so can't be there all the time, and she's just kind of waiting for him. And then they, like I say, they meet at different stages through the life, and it goes like back and forth between present day when they've met for like the last time, and then it goes back to where they met for the first time and the second time, the third time, that type of thing. So it's an enjoyable book. I just think if I'd have read it, I'd have enjoyed it more than listening to it maybe, because I just, like I say, found myself zoning out. Definitely give it a go. I just think it has absolutely nothing on Fourth Wing, which obviously now that's what all her books are going to be compared to probably. But yeah, that was In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros. Okay, and then I also listened to, which is a very random one, but it was the first Harry Potter book on Audible that I listened to. I don't really know why. I was just, whilst I was working, I was wanting to listen to something that I completely know the story of Harry Potter. I've read the books, I've watched the films already, so I just wanted to listen to something that was like easy to listen to, you know, and I don't have to necessarily concentrate on it because I know everything that's happening anyway. So yeah, that was Harry Potter. Obviously 5 stars. I absolutely love the Harry Potter series. So it was just the first one, Philosopher's Stone, that I listened to, and it was in the Kindle, not Kindle, the Audible, where if you pay for the subscription and you get some of the books for free, you don't have to pay a credit for. It was one of the ones that were in for free, so I think that's what made me listen to it. But yeah, anyway, 5 stars for the first Harry Potter. It's just a very random one. And then we'll go on to the books the actual books that I read. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them here. So the first one, we've got Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I really wanted to love this book. I read it because the new film was coming out, and I just wasn't a massive fan. I just didn't really rate it. I just think it was a bit, like, obviously a fluffy romance. Like, I love a good fluffy romance, but this one was just a bit boring. I felt it was just a bit boring. I wasn't invested in any of the characters. I wasn't really a massive fan of any of them. I wasn't really bothered about where the story was going, you know. It wasn't like, and there was a lot of politics going in. Obviously one of them is the president's son, and one of them is Prince Harry, but Prince Henry. I think that as well, where they've got names that are similar or the same to the actual royal family. I wasn't vibing with it. I really wasn't. I also watched part of the film and ended up turning it off because I just wasn't enjoying it. I found it so boring. I wasn't enjoying it, which is so disappointing because I've just seen so many people talk about this book and really enjoy it and really love it. But yeah, it just wasn't really for me. I wasn't, like I say, bothered about the characters. I think as well the politics, it was just, I'm just not interested in that. I don't find it interesting. I didn't know what they were on about a lot of the times when they're using all the jargon. I just can't get involved in it because I'm not bothered, you know. So yeah, that was Red, White and Royal Blue, which I gave 3 stars because there's nothing particularly wrong with the book. It just wasn't for me. I just didn't really enjoy it. So yeah, Red, White and Royal Blue. And then next up we've got 2 Tessa Bailey books. So I feel like Tessa Bailey is, I think I might have said this in my TBR video, but she's one of those authors that I really thought I had read loads of her books. I think because I see them everywhere, I just thought I'd read them, and I see a TikTok and I absolutely love it, and I just thought I'd read like loads of her books, but it turns out I actually don't think I've read a single one. So this month I actually read 2. So it was the I think they're called Bellinger Sisters. It was their series. So we've got It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line and Sinker. So they're both very like romances where it's like a city girl comes to a small town and falls in love with like the fisherman. It was that type vibe, but I really enjoyed it. I think both of them could have been a little bit shorter. They are very thick for romance books, but I also think the story, like, it kept me like captivated the whole time. I think they were just very easy to read, just nice romances, you know, where I felt invested in the characters. I wanted to see the character arc of the female lead and how she was going to progress from this like spoiled girl that didn't really understand real life to then having to earn her own money, and she got cut off from dad's money and stuff like that, and find her own way, and like you learn a lot more like deeper, like what she's got behind the surface level of being this like social media influencer And then you learn that she's actually a real person with actual feelings and cares about other people, you know. What a shock. She's not just an influencer on social media. So I really enjoyed that. And then the second one is her sister, who also does go to the same like Fisher town, and they work together to try and get like their own money together, like I say. And it's like a bit of found family too, I guess. A bit of enemies to lovers, both of them. But they're just really nice romances. I just really enjoyed them. So yeah, it's the female lead in the first one, the second one is her sister, and the male lead is the first one's like best friend. So that's the two, one's by Tessa Bailey, the two Bellinger, I'm pretty sure they're called, sisters. So we've got It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line and Sinker. It Happened One Summer I've given 4.25 stars I gave to this one. I don't know what I gave to Hook, Line and Sinker. Oh, there we go. Hook, Line and Sinker I gave 4 stars. It Happened One Summer I gave 4.25 because I did enjoy it a bit more. I think because it was an introduction to them all, to like the town, and you got to know the like introduced to all the like side characters, which as well I really loved them, which is rare to want to know how the main characters get on but also see the progression of the side characters. I just really loved it. So yeah, 4.25 and 4 stars. I really enjoyed them both. I'm definitely going to get some more Tessa Bailey books. I think I've got some more already here, but I'm definitely going to read some more 100%. So that was those two. And then next up, this one was on my TBR for this month, which was Gilded by Marissa Mayer. I didn't get round to Cursed, but I did read this one. I feel like I can't decide if I liked it or not. I found myself sort of skimming through bits in the middle because it was just a bit longer than it needed to be, I think. So like, it is nearly 500 pages and the writing is really small in the book, so it is a very thick book, and I just think it didn't really need to be that long, you know. There was a lot of filler stuff in there, so I think at times I just found myself a little bit bored and was wanting it, like, the story to progress a bit quicker to actually find out what was going on. I think it was trying to build suspense throughout it, but I was just like, can we get to the point, you know? So I did end up giving it 3 stars. I probably will read the second one just to find out where the story goes, but I'm not gonna like rush to read it, you know? It's basically a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, and it's a romance, and I don't know, I just wasn't vibing with it. I didn't really, it's not that I wasn't invested in the main lead, in the female lead, because I was, but I didn't really care for the villain in it. I didn't really care for Rumpelstiltskin. I thought the characters in this like village that she ends up in, I really enjoyed, that like help her out, and the female lead as well, but yeah, I just thought it was a bit naff. I think retellings as well I'm just not a big fan of in general. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with it. I was quite looking forward to this book, but yeah, I only gave it 3 stars. It was just not really, it was just a bit long. It was just a bit, and unnecessarily long too. Like, I don't mind a really long book if I'm enjoying it throughout and there's things happening throughout, but I feel like this was just all building to the end and not really much happens at the end, you know. It just kind of leads you on to the second book. I don't know, it was just, I didn't massively enjoy it. But anyway, on to Bigger and Better Things. The next book I read, I actually listened to this book, but it's Dead Romantic. It's by Ashley Poston. I loved this book. It was so good. I think because I didn't really know anything going into it, now it makes sense from the title, but I didn't really know anything about it, to be honest. It's basically the female lead can see and speak to ghosts who are sort of traveling through to, you know, they're like a bit in between the dead, but because the ghosts, but they've not gone to like heaven or whatever the next stage is. They're kind of a little bit in between because they've got unfinished business. So it's like that, like but she can speak to and interact with these people, with the ghosts. No one else can. No one else can see them, just her and her dad could. So yeah, it's about that, and then there's like a ghost love interest, and that's sort of where it goes from there. But yeah, I think because I didn't really know anything about this book going into it, I enjoyed it even more. It's not really like anything I've ever read before, so I was really invested in it, really intrigued. I loved the like family that she's got. and the side characters. The storyline I just really loved. I wanted to see what the ending was. I wasn't necessarily, there's a little twist at the end. I wasn't necessarily shocked by it. Like, I think it's quite obvious twist, but I was like, still like, oh, I hope this happens. I really hope this happens, you know? So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I would recommend to read it. I think she's got some other books as well, Ashley Poston, which I'm gonna pick up because I loved this. It was so good. So yeah, that was The Dead Romantics. I gave this one 4.5 stars because it was just really good. I really enjoyed it. I think, like I say, because I was listening to it as well, I was just, someone else was like reading it to me, so I was just really involved in the story, you know, just like completely surrounded by it. I was in that world. So yeah, 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Definitely would recommend this book. And then last but definitely not least, this was actually the first book I read this month, so I don't know why it's come up last, but it was Finale by Stephanie Garber, which is the third one in the Caraval series. I absolutely love this series. I think it is so good. I think out of the 3 books, this one may be my least favourite, but I would still say you've got to read the series. I enjoyed it so much. I think maybe the first one's definitely my favourite because it was just all like new. You learned about the magic, about the world, about Caraval, all the characters. Whereas by the third one, nothing's necessarily shocking because you sort of, not that you know what to expect, but you know about all the magic and stuff like that. You're not necessarily learning new things, if that makes sense. But I thought it was a really good ending to the series. I enjoyed it so much. I'm definitely going to read the Once Upon a Broken Heart series by Stephanie Garber. I think there's only 2 books out at the minute, but the third one's out soon. But I'm definitely going to pick them up because I really enjoyed her writing. I was so invested in this story. Like, I was so wanting to know what happened, just wanting to sit and read all day and find out where the story was going, find out the characters, figure out who Legend was. Like, I just loved it. I thought it was so good. I only gave this book 4 stars, but I think in general I would probably call it a 5-star series because I definitely recommend it to people. I think it's so good. So yeah, that was the last book that I read this month. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that was 10 books read or listened to this month, which is okay, but I definitely want to try and get more read next month. I think I'm going to try for like 15, maybe even 20 next month. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that is the end of August wrap up. I hope you enjoyed. If you did and you'd like to subscribe, I would really appreciate that. But yeah, like I say, that is it from me, and I will see you in a bit.